everyone, in this video we are going to discuss the trial paper for Negeri Sembilan. Alright, let's look at question 16. So diagram 8 shows a straight line AB with the equation negative 3x over A plus 6y over B equals to 3. Okay, so when you look at this equation, right, you should be able to relate to a form of straight line equation which is called as the intercept form. Okay, so let me just do a very quick explanation here before we move on, in case you have forgotten about this idea. So we know that in straight line equation, right, you have like few formula that you can use. Like the most popular one that you guys should be very familiar with is like y equals to mx plus c, right? Which you need to find the y-intercept and the gradient of the line. Then you can actually create the equation. Then after that, in mx, you also learn the other one, which is you should always use a point and also the gradient to help you to find the straight line equation. Okay, then there is another form which is called as intercept form. So this is the form of equation that is very useful if let's say you are given a graph that you already know what is the intercept. So the x-intercept and y-intercept. So for example, if in this case, right, perhaps I try to put the x-intercept at P, then I put the y-intercept is Q. So for this kind of line, so the intercept form will be x over P plus y over Q equals to 1. So basically you can see that the idea is that you have x over your x-intercept, then after that you have your y over your y-intercept, then it will be always equals to 1. So this is intercept form. Okay, so in this question you can see that this is a graph with like intercept as well. So that's why they try to put like intercept form here. So I think this is the main technique that the question want to test you on. Okay, so you have point A lies on the x-axis and point B lies on the y-axis, and the question want you to find the area for the triangle OAB. So obviously if A and B lies on the x-axis and y-axis respectively, so obviously this will be a right angle triangle. So which means we need to know what is the base and what is the height. Then we can use the formula of 1 over 2 multiplied by the base and the height. Then you'll be able to get the area. Okay, so in this case, which means that we'll need to know what is the coordinate for A and B respectively. So let's try to use the approach of intercept form first. So you have negative 3 over A, then plus 6y over B equals to 3. So you see, when we try to compare to the intercept form here, right, just now we mentioned that it must be equals to 0, then only you can identify the x-intercept and the y-intercept. So which means the first step that we need to do here is to divide 3. So which means that we will have negative x over A and then plus 2y over B and equal to 1. Okay, so now for the right hand side, it's all right already. We have equals to 1. Then after that, you can check it out. So here we have x over P and y over Q. But here we have like a 2 here. So what can we try to do? So for this part, we can actually change it to like x over negative A, right? Okay, so we try to let our numerator to be x and y only. And then after that, plus. So how can I change the 2y here to become y only? So I'll need to divide by 2. So when I divide by 2 for the numerator, which means for the denominator, I'll need to divide by 2 as well. Okay, then after that, equal to 1. So by this formula, then I'll be able to identify my x-intercept and y-intercept now. So the x-intercept will be the number below the denominator for the first fraction, which is negative A. Then after that, for the y-intercept, it will be the number below the y, which is b over 2. Alright? So this is by using the idea for intercept form. So if let's say you think that you are not familiar with this, then actually you can solve with idea of like how you solve it normally. So for example, negative 3x over A plus 6y over B equals to 3, right? This is an alternative. So which means that, for example, when you want to find point A, right? So you know that this is a x-intercept. So which means the y is equals to 0. So you can see that when y equals to 0, which means 6 multiply by 0, you get 0. Then 0 divided by b, you are getting 0 as well. So after that, what do you left? You left with negative 3x over a equals to 3, right? Then after that, negative 3x equal to 3a, and it will eventually give you the first one, which is x equal to negative a. Okay, which is the same answer as what we have found just now. So the same thing, so for B, it will be the y-intercept, so which means the x is equals to 0. So when x equals to 0, meaning 0 will be divided by a, you are getting 0 as well. So what do you left? You left with 6y over b equals to 3. So from that, you have 6y equal to 3b. So I will have y equal to 1 over 2, which is b over 2 as well. So that's why you can see the answer is the same. So depends on which approach that you prefer. Okay, so for point A, the y-intercept here is negative a. Then after that, for here is going to be b over 2. Okay, so if let's say I want to find the area for the triangle, so which means that I will use the formula, right? So area for OAB. So 1 over 2 multiplied by the base multiplied by the height. So it will be equal to what's our base? Yeah, so if let's say the coordinate here is negative a, right? So you must make sure that when we try to look at base, we are talking about the magnitude itself only. So which means that I don't care whether it's on the left hand side or right hand side, whether it's negative or positive. I only want the length. Okay, so the length will be, yeah, so the idea is like, for example, if a is 5, right? So it's negative 5. So the distance will be 5. You wouldn't say like the length is negative 5, right? It just indicate that it's on the left hand side. So that's why the base here will be A. Okay, then after that we continue with the h, which means the height here, which is b over a. So from there, sorry, b over 2. So from here, I'll be able to get my answer, which is ab over 4. Okay, so this is the unit for the triangle. Alright, so let's move on to number 17. Okay, question 17. Given that vectors A and B here, so if A is parallel to B, find the value of the lambda here. Okay, so we know that when we say that a parallel A is parallel to vector B, right? Normally, we will try to express this relationship in an equation of vector A is equal to K multiplied by vector b. Okay, so the k is like a scalar product here. So for example, a simple illustration will be, if let's say this is a, right? So if let's say we have the other line, which is like here, so it's parallel to a, but the length is like different, maybe it's like a double. So we will always represent this vector, like for example 2a. Okay, so the 2 here is like the scalar product, but we know that they are going to the same direction, so that's why they are like parallel. Okay, so that's why we if a and b is parallel, they can always write it in a form of a equals to k multiplied by b. So now let's substitute the factor, okay, equal to k and then 613. So now we can start to solve it. So for the I, so we have 12 equal to 6k. So from that, then I'll be able to obtain my k as 12, sorry, as 2. Okay, so like 12 divided by 6. Then after that, I can proceed with my j to find the lambda. So lambda minus 4 will be equal to k multiplied 13, right? So since we have found k just now, which is 12, so now we can try to substitute. So which means that 2, 13, then after that we move the plus minus 4, then become plus 4. Alright, so we can get lambda will be equal to 13. Okay, so as simple as that. Alright, so let's try to look at 18. Alright, let's continue with question 18. So this diagram shows three identical sectors, which is RBT, RAS, and also CST inside an equilateral triangle ABC. So which means the bigger the triangle here, they are having the same side and the same angle. Okay, so it is given that AB is 2 square root P. Okay, so let me just write it here. Alright, so the question wants us to find the value of alpha in terms of pi. So we know that if it's an equilateral triangle, which means that in degree, it will be 180 divided by 3, right? So it will be depending on you. So whether if you want to straight away solve it in terms of pi, which means you already know that 180 is equal to 1 pi. So which means pi divided by 3. So this will be your answer. Okay. So if you are not confident in this, then what you can try to do is alpha will be equal to 60 degree. Okay, I guess you guys have no problem in this, right? So basically 180 divided by 3. Then after that, you can use the formula to actually help you to change it to radian. So multiply pi over 180 degree. So you'll be able to get the exactly same answer, which is pi over 3 radian. Okay, so let's move on to D. So express the angle, express the area of the shaded region in terms of P. So meaning the shaded region over here. So which means that for us to find the area for the shaded region, what do we need? Yeah, so as a bigger image, so which means that the first thing that we need to find is to find the area for triangle first, right? The area for the triangle ABC. Okay, so after I get the area for the big triangle, then I'll need to find out the area for the three identical sector. Then I will use it to subtract it. Then I will get my answer. So I will minus the area for of the three sector. All right. So now let's try to substitute the information that we have here. Okay. So for the area for ABC, so we know that the area for triangle is equal to 1 over 2 AB sine C, right? So which means that we will need to have two sides with one included angle. So in this case, since it's an equilateral triangle, so which means that we already know that all the sides they are having the same length, which is 2 square root P. So which means 1 over 2 multiplied by 2 square root P and another 2 square root P because AB, right? Then after that sine. So what is the angle, the included angle? So yeah, if I'm taking like AC and CB, which means that I will need this angle. So this angle will be pi over 3. Okay, so actually, when you are trying to use the formula for AB sine C, right, it's not necessary for you to use degree. So you just make sure that if you are using radian, so which means in your calculator, just try to make sure that it's in the mode of radian. So you do not need to like switch it over between degree and radian so to make yourself confused. Okay. Then after that, minus the area for three sectors. So we know that this is for triangle. So for the area of sector, it will be equal to 1 over 2 r square theta, right? So which means that minus, so I need three sectors, so I can straight away multiply by 3. And then after that, I will start with 1 over 2. Okay, so r square. So maybe we try to focus in 1. So this is like one of the sector. Yeah, because the three sector is actually the same, right? So you can imagine that if this triangle is equilateral, meaning that over here AC is equal to 2 square root P as well. So if this is the radius and this is the radius, which means that for me to find the length of the radius, it will be equal to 2 square root P divided by 2. Okay? Then after that, square my radius and my theta is equal to the sector over here, the angle here. Okay? So which means it's a pi over 3 also. Alright, so after I have written everything, then I can use my calculator or do some calculation here. So 2 and 2 then don't have anymore. So square root multiplied by square root, I get p. Then after that, what do I left? I left 2p. So this is the part that you can use your calculator to solve, but make sure that you change your mode into a radian mode. And you should be able to get square root 3 over 2. Okay? Then minus your answer. Yeah, we can just leave our answer in pi and p, right? So pi over 2. Yeah, so this part, you can imagine 2 and 2 cancel off. Then after that, square root p, after you square it, you get p, Then after that, you're left with 1 over 2p lah, then multiply by pi over 3. Okay, so you will be able to get pi over 2p. The 3 and the 3 here also, uh, they, I mean, after you do your factorization and you'll be eliminating them as well. Okay, so from there, then you'll be able, so you can see that is there anything that you can simplify. So yeah, for the p part, you have 2, so which means square root 3p and then minus pi over 2p. So since both sides has p, so it depends on you. If you want, then you can try to factorize it. So square root 3 minus pi over 2. So that will be your answer. Alright, so let's move on to 19. Okay, question 19. Given that cotangent A is equal to M, okay, so maybe let us list it down. Then after that, we have cosecant A is equal to N, okay, where M and N are constant and A is between 0 to 2 pi, okay, so which means it can be any quadrant. Okay, so express in terms of M or N for A cos A. Okay, so for A, yeah, so you see, if let's say we want to find cos A here, right, we know that like cotangent will be equal to cos over sine. Then for cosecant is actually 1 over sine. So which means we cannot straight away get our answer for cos from cosecant here. But we know that if let's say cosecant A is equal to n, so which means in another word, 1 over sine A is equal to n. And from this, I can get that sine A is equal to 1 over n. Okay, then after that, we proceed by using the first equation that we have here. So if let's say cotangent A is equal to m, so in another words, it means that cos A divided by sine A. Okay, so I hope that you know tangent is equal to sine over cos, right? So cotangent is the reciprocal of tangent, so that's why it become cos over sine. So equal to m. Alright, then after that, since we have our sine already, which is 1 over n, so which means cos A over 1 over n equal to m. So my answer for cos A will be equal to m over n. Yeah, so just bring this over the other side, then I can get m over n. Alright, so as simple as that. So after that, let's move on to B. So I'll need to find sine square A over 2. Okay, so when you check on your formula sheet, right, you actually cannot find any formula that can relates to sine square A over 2. But then we have something that sounds like this. Cos 2A equal to 1 minus 2 sine square A. Okay, so you might have a question that why are we using this? Because I have a sine square, so which means that I'll need to use other a formula which contain of like sine square also to help me to solve this. So the relationship between the angle here is that if this is A, then this angle here is going to be double of the A. So which means that if let's say I try to change here to be cos A, right? So what happened? Now 2A become A already and 2A supposed to relate to A. So which means for here, I'll be able to get another formula, which is A over 2. Okay, so the idea is correct, right? As long as this angle is double of the angle here. So which means that A, then you will put 2A. So which means if you have A over 2 here, then which means it will be relating to A. Okay, then after that, I'll be using my answer for A to help me to solve B. So cos A is m over n. Alright, then after that, 1 minus 2. So this is the part that I wish to find. Alright, so I'll just switch over the side. So I have 2 sine square A over 2, okay, will be equal to 1 minus m over n. Alright, so since I only want sine square A over 2, then I will divide 2. So which means I will have 1 over 2 minus m over 2n. So I'm just going to combine them together. So I'll need to multiply n for the first fraction. So which means it will give me an answer for n minus m over 2n. Alright, so that's it for 19. So let's try to look at 20. Okay, question 20. So diagram 10 shows the curve y squared equal to 36 minus 12x intersect the x-intercept at the point Q here and the y-intercept at point P and S. So a straight line QR, so you have QR here, is perpendicular to the straight line PQ which intersect the curve at the point R, so which means here. Okay, so after that, the question wants us to find the coordinate for point Q, which is what is the coordinate for the point here. Okay, so this question is like a coordinate geometry question which deal with like equation of straight line, perpendicular line. Okay, so it's actually not a very difficult one. It's just going to be like a little bit complex when you are looking at this question, the diagram given here. Yeah, but when you try to split it out, right, it's actually not. Okay, so let's start with finding the intersection point that we can find first. So since we have the equation y squared equal to 36 minus 12x, right? Okay, so which means that we can try to find the x-intercept and the y-intercept first. So maybe let's start with finding q first. So when y equals to 0, then I will be able to get 0 equal to 36 minus 12x. And after solve, then I'll be able to get 12x equal to 36, which give me x equals to 3. Alright, so from here, then I will be able to know that my q is going to be 3 and 0. Okay, then after that, I'll continue to find p and s. So when x equals to 0, so which means I will have y squared equal to 36. So which means I will get y equal to positive and negative 6. Okay, so which is correct in this case because you see that there are two intercept P and S, right? So P is at the positive side, so which means that your P is going to be 0, 6, and after that our S is going to be 0 and negative 6. Alright, so after we have found this, then everything will become much more easier. So now the idea for us to actually solve for the point R, right, is that we want to find the intersection point. So for us to solve the intersection point, we need to solve simultaneous equation, which means that I have the equation for the curve now. I will need to find what is the equation for RQ. Then I will have two equations, then I solve them simultaneously. So my target now is to find what is the equation for RQ. So do I have any problem here? Yes, I have. Because if let's say I want to find the equation for RQ, right, I will need to have at least one point, and after that I'll need to know the gradient. But the problem now is for between the point for R and Q, I don't know anything about R. And then I only have the coordinate for Q, which doesn't allow me to actually find the gradient. So I cannot proceed with creating my own equation for RQ. But I have one information which I know that the line QR is perpendicular to the line of PQ. So which means if I can find the gradient for PQ, then I can find the gradient of RQ, right? By using the relationship M1 multiply M2 equals to -1. So which means in this case, I'll need to find the gradient for PQ first. So gradient for PQ, okay, will be equal to, so I have my P and Q over here. So by using the formula y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, then I have 6 minus 0 over 0 minus 3. So I'll be able to get 6 divided by -3, which gives me -2. Okay, so yeah, you can always check it with the diagram that you have here. So you can see that the direction is like this. So that's why having a negative gradient is a correct one. Okay, so we know that since PQ and the line of QR is perpendicular to each other, alright, so that's why the gradient for PQ multiply the gradient for QR will be equal to -1. So from there, then I'll be able to get the gradient for PQ. It will be equal to 1 over 2. Okay? So after I found this, yeah, so which means I know -2 here, then I move it there, then it becomes -1 divided by -2 lah. Then this is how I get 1 over 2. Okay? So, oops, I'm sorry, I think this is QR. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, -2, then after that QR equal to -1. So which means gradient for QR is equal to 1 over 2. Okay, so from that, then I can use my coordinate for Q to actually find out my equation now. So Q is 3, 0, and I know that the gradient for QR is 1 over 2. Okay, so by using the formula y minus 0 equal to 1 over 2 x minus 3. So from that, then I can get y equal to 1 over 2x minus 3 over 2. Okay, so this is my equation, and also it's the first equation for my simultaneous equation. Then after that, my second one is certainly the equation for the curve. Okay, 36 minus 12x is my second one. So I'll need to solve the simultaneous equation now. So it'll be easy that I just put in my first one to the second one. Okay, so it will be depends on you lah. So if you think that you prefer to putting like x inside also can, it's just going to be the exactly same thing. Okay, so yeah, let us substitute. So 1 over 2x minus 3 over 2 square equal to 36 minus 12x. Like, of course, if let's say you do not, I mean, if you don't prefer to have like a fraction thing to expand, which means that you can always try to multiply 2 for the whole equation here, then you can get the x, then you substitute inside, then I believe you do not have any fraction to deal with. Okay, but yeah, it's going to give you the exact same answer. So 1 over 4x squared, then after that minus 6 over 4x plus 9 over 4 equal to 36 minus 12x. Okay, so I'm going to multiply everything by 4. So x squared minus 6x plus 9 equal to 144 minus 48x. So this is a quadratic equation. So I'll be able to get x squared. Yeah, remember to just write everything in general form. 42x minus 135 equals to 0. So by doing factorization, then we can solve x plus 45, and then x minus 3 equals to 0, which gives me the answer x equals to -45 and 3. Okay, so between these two answers, do we actually accept 2? No. So you need to go back to the picture here. So you can see that r is below the x-axis, which means that for the r here is going to be, sorry, we are looking at the x. Yeah, sorry. So yeah, it's on the left-hand side of the y-axis. So that's why at this point, the x is going to be a negative number rather than a positive number. So that's why between these two, we are choosing the negative one. So x should be a negative number. So that's why x is -45. Okay, then after that, we will substitute into the first equation, then I'll be able to get my answer. So the first one, y equal to 1 over 2 -45 minus 3 over 2, and I'll be able to get -24. So which means my last answer is my r. R is -45 and -24. Alright, so it's slightly longer because of the calculation, but the idea is actually quite easy. Okay, so that's it for this question.